here, and I'm going to do a live today showing a couple things. I'm going to start out with how to clean our pruners. This is essential to have. I'm just starting. I'm like, what am I even talking about? Okay, cleaning pruners. I need to clean those first order of business. Then I'm going to show you guys how to revive a hydrangea. I'm kind of all over the place a bit with what I'm planning to do. And then the meat of it is I'm going to show you how to make a floral crown. I'm like, do I have all my supplies? I don't even know where. I brought them in, but I left my supplies. Hold on. I gotta grab my supplies. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I thought I had everything, and I clearly didn't. So my main thing I'm going to show you is how to make a floral crown. I needed to grab my florist tape and my wire. This is a 1/4 pound of paddle wire, 24 gauge, and this is what I'm going to use when I'm making my flower crown. I'm a bit sick. I feel like I've been sick for months, which is what happens when you have a baby. Hello to the person who has joined. Welcome. This is baby nap time. So I'm counting on the fact that me having him in his carrier and jiggling him is going to keep him asleep, or make him fall asleep. He's not asleep right now. Oh, my hair's a little baby face. Hello. But we'll see what happens. So first of all, I'm going to clean my pruners. This has been a while coming. These need to be cleaned. Don't leave them as dirty as me. That's not a great idea. I'm going to clean them with Gooby Gone. And I got gloves because I'm sure this is toxic. And let's just get these puppies cleaned up. Got some pads here for my Gooby Gone. Hello, the person just joining. I'm just showing how I'm cleaning my pruners before I get into the meat of the show, which is I'm going to make a floral crown. I'm in Canada on Vancouver Island, which is in British Columbia, just up from Washington. And what is a pruner? These are pruners. They're also known as secateurs. I don't even know how to pronounce that. But I'm in Canada, and there's obviously trade tariffs going on with the States. And I was looking last night, and pruners are actually one of the things that the Canadian government put tariffs on. So now these are going to be like 25% more expensive. So good thing I already have some, and then I'm keeping them nice and clean. So I'm just cleaning these with Gooby Gone because they get really gross and sticky. Gross and sticky when you're like trimming stuff all the time. And the reason you need these, somebody said my husband's studying in Canada. I don't think he's ever used a pruner. Well, maybe he's not a florist, because if you are a florist, pruners are essential. And I actually thought I would show you guys the difference between pruners and scissors. Okay, I'm just getting these nice and clean here before I get started. And then I'm just gonna put them in a little bit of water here. I'm gonna take a drink of this first. This was planned to be my drinking water, but now it's my cleaning pruners water, so hopefully I don't get dehydrated during this. Okay, make sure you dry them off well so they don't get rusty. Oh, thanks, my baby's so cute. Yeah, wait till he starts like shrieking. Where am I? I'm in Canada. I'm like, where do I live? I don't even know. Vancouver Island, which is kind of by Washington, by Seattle. Okay, so here's my pruners, and then I've got scissors here, and I'm gonna show you guys why. Hello, Soshella. I don't know how to pronounce that. Okay, I've got, these are spray roses. I'm gonna just open these up using my scissors. So I'm a big fan of like, oh, shoot, I gotta close this up because if I have gooby gone everywhere, my table will be gone. I'm gonna take off my gloves. How am I? I am sick. I'm always sick. I have a baby and a toddler, and so I'm always sick. That's just like how life is. So I'm a big fan of use scissors for what scissors are for, or use products for what products are for. So I'm using scissors to cut plastic, and I don't use my pruners to do that. So I don't want to, oh, here we go. For the person who wanted to hear my baby cry, you're gonna be in luck. Okay, so here's my spray roses. These are local from a farm called Eurosa Farms on Vancouver Island. And when you get flowers, like wholesale flowers, they always have a ton of leaves on them. And so it's something you always need to remove. And something cool actually about spray roses is they often have like the middle flower that has, or the middle stem that has no flower on it, this guy right here. And that's because when they're growing, they actually like pinch off this top one here, and then that makes it into a spray. So that's kind of a neat thing to know. Okay, showing you cutting with pruners that are, that like flew through the air, freshly cleaned. And now, okay, I swear I'm using the same amount of oomph. These do not cut it nearly as well. Okay, that was a little bit quote unquote easy. Because those were just wax, that was just on spray roses, but like check out, this is wax flower. This grows in the States, in California, but it also comes from Australia, and it just smells so amazing, and it's super, super hardy, like it lasts forever, and I'm obsessed with using this because of a couple reasons. It lasts so long, and I love this greenery on it because I use that actually in my in boutonnieres because it's so pretty and dainty. Like check that out there. And then I love ombre, so it's got like some pink, and these are kind of like shading out to white, and the flowers are little tiny flowers, and then they have some that buds that never open. So beautiful. Okay, let's demo scissors. Okay, I think I actually break my scissors. I can't cut it. I swear I'm actually trying. So there you go. There's my fun demo. You need pruners. And to Light's bow, I'm sorry your husband doesn't give you flowers. That's really sad. My husband also doesn't buy me flowers, but that's because I tell him not to, because I'm like, I have so many flowers until like blow my nose. I have so many flowers everywhere, and the last thing I want is like more flowers that he buys for me. So I have to blow my nose. I'm like, hold on 2 seconds. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm back. Oh yeah, I do need to definitely be careful. What made me choose to be a florist? So I actually decided when I was getting married in 2019, I was like looking at how much it costs to buy flowers, and it is really expensive to hire a florist. And I was like, why don't I become my own florist? And so I looked into buying flowers wholesale, and there's really no options like Costco, but Costco only has like top 10 things. And so I thought, well, why don't I start a business and buy flowers myself and just DIY my own flowers for my wedding. And so I did that. Sometimes I'm a little extra. And so I like got a business license and whatever, and DIY'd my own wedding flowers. And then one of my friends was like, this is a great idea, you should do this for other people. And so I was like, why not? And so I made a business, and so my business is Floral, and I have warehouses all across Canada and the States, and I supply bulk flowers that get sent to folks wherever you live, and then you can DIY your own flowers. So that's what made me decide to become a florist. So I just taught myself and use things like YouTube to teach myself, and I've been doing this now since 2019. Yeah, that's my story. Okay, so now I showed you guys how to clean your pruners nice and clean. Scissors definitely don't work, so I'm gonna put these away. Okay, what else do I want to show you? Oh, I have this box of baby's breath that I used last weekend in a show. I was at a wedding show here, and I kept this out to dry it. And so what is cool though that I want to show you is I have a bunch of fresh baby's breath that I'm going to use today. I'm making a flower crown today. And so this is one bunch of fresh baby's breath. So I'll show you the size here. So baby's breath gets really tangled. So you just kind of gotta pull it apart carefully. And the other thing is that baby's breath, like you always get side shoots that kind of break off, and so I never throw away stuff, so I would keep this. And then I have always like a little mason jar or a tiny little miniature jar, and I would like keep this and just make myself like a little miniature bouquet, because stuff is expensive and why would you throw it away? So this is a one bunch of baby's breath, just to give you guys an idea of the size. And so people are like, oh, how many stems are there in baby's breath? So this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So there's 16 stems, but you can see like one stem has like all these florets off of it. So if you're thinking like, oh, 16 stems, like that's not very much, but then look, like there's actually like a ton of these side shoots. So that's one bunch. But anyways, back to what I was showing you. So this is a whole bunch of bunches. I cut it up really short for something I was using, and I was drying it out. And this is from last Sunday. So they've been without water from Sunday till now. I'm like, what day is it? It's Friday. So they have had no water from Sunday until now. And look, they actually still look like really great. They are obviously dried, but baby's breath dried is awesome. It's still like super useful, and I would use this in, well, I cut it really short, so now it's kind of pointless. But if I kept it long and like hung it, you can use this in lots of arrangements. When you dry stuff, it gets a little bit like crumbly. So I'll show you. Actually, this one's not really that crumbly, but it's a little crumbly if you like kind of really play with it. Oh, somebody Lightspo was asking, other than tariffs and pruners, has anything else that you use in your business been made more expensive? Right now it's just the pruners, because Canada announced the tariffs on like steel and aluminum, and so like pruners are steel, so they like swooped it in the tariffy thing. Nothing in my business has become more expensive yet, but I imagine things are going to become more expensive, just not yet. Okay, what am I showing you now? Oh, okay, I promise I'll get to making a flower crown, but I have all this stuff I wanted to show everybody first. Like, been thinking about all these things to show you guys, so I hope you don't mind me like just talking about random stuff. Okay, another thing that I kept from last weekend to show you guys, this is the hydrangea that is from last Sunday. It is starting to like brown, and it is not in good condition, but keep in mind this is from Sunday and now it's Friday, so this is a super old hydrangea. But I wanted to show you how to revive a hydrangea if it gets wilty. So this is probably not going to work on this one because it's really old, but if you had a hydrangea and they have a tendency really to wilt, because as their name kind of suggests, they really need oh, I gotta get the baby a soother. Oh my gosh, it's like tangled. They really need hydration in order to stay nice and perky, and so they have a tendency to wilt if they can't get enough water. So when you buy hydrangeas, this is a hack for anybody at home, and especially if you're DIYing your flowers. So you'll take your pruners, which are nice and clean now, and you're gonna take and do like a cross cut up like this, and then cut the end. So because this has been in water now for like a week, the end is like really gummy and gross. But then it creates a fork like this. And because hydrangeas have a really woody stem, it's hard for them to uptake water. And that's also kind of why, excuse me, I'm sick, I'm always sick. That's why it's hard for them to stay hydrated. So when you do this fork, it makes it easier for them to uptake water. So this is a hack if they wilt when you have them. You should always do this fork and a fresh cut on the end with your pruners, regardless of if they're wilting or not, just a thing you do when you buy them. But if they wilt, I've got a Tupperware here with water, and you actually submerge the head. So hydrangeas can drink water through their petals. So actually, if you take it and you sink it in water, not like freezing cold water, not boiling water, just like kind of warm water, and we're just gonna let it like do a little soaky soak, and then pull it out. And then of course I've got it, like I showed you the fork here. Now it looks terrible, but if you put this in water, in a warm water, because warm water will help it like suck up in the stem, put it in warm water, and it will actually perk up, which is super cool. That is a way to revive your hydrangeas if they wilt on you. So there you go, some random floristry knowledge for you. Sorry, that's really loud. Okay, somebody asks, self-taught. I didn't have a mentor or anything. I do have a mentor. Her name is Jill. She lives in Edmonton, and she's a florist. And you know, a funny story actually. We met each other on Instagram, and like 6 years ago. I don't even know how. And we like hit it off by Instagram, and we like chit-chatted and whatnot, and we talk to each other like probably every day. I haven't talked to her yet today because it's 10 a.m. And you know what, while I talk to you guys, I'm gonna process these roses and answer this question. So you always have to take all the leaves off the stem, because when you have cut flowers, they are like on their way to dying. It's like really morbid, but as soon as they're cut, they like start dying. So when you have them in water, that keeps them, oh my gosh, that keeps them alive. But we don't want the flowers to concentrate on keeping the leaves healthy. We just want them to concentrate on the petals. So we're gonna pull off all the leaves off of them. And the leaves aren't very pretty anyways. So when you get flowers, make sure that you remove all the leaves, and then you can remove side shoots like that. Sort of side shoot is ugly. And then the spray roses have a topper like that like they often have one in the middle I was explaining that doesn't have a petal on it. And so I'll just chop that off. So yeah, you need to remove all the leaves. Another reason you would remove all the leaves is we never want leaves in the water, because they are dirty and they will make your water all murky, and murky water will make your flowers not last as long. So before I start doing anything, I always am processing my flowers first and removing, like this little one broke off here, so I'm just cutting that off. So this is what I do before I even start. So I'm just gonna keep doing this and then tell you guys the story about Jill. So we like chit chat on Instagram, and then somehow we got each other's phone numbers, and she's been like for 5-6 years. I talk to her, I don't know, every second day about flowers and whatnot. And she has taught me so much, but I never met her. We're just like pen pals, phone pals. And then she lives in Edmonton, which is in Alberta, in Canada. And so we never met, and I was in Edmonton 2 weekends ago to visit some other friends and my sister and whatnot. And I met up with Jill for the very first time. We've been talking to each other like multiple times a week, but I'd never met her. And we were both like so nervous. We're like, what happens if we don't like each other? What if we have nothing to talk about? But we've been friends now for like 6 years, I guess, for a reason. And we like totally hit it off. So that's my like mentor friend, Jill from Edmonton. And she's taught me like so much about floristry and all that. So there's my story about my random friend in Edmonton. So with my business, I sell bulk flowers so people can DIY for their weddings, and I offer free consults, and Jill and I also do the consults together. So there you go. Oh, I never throw away anything. So this piece here is janky, broke off. So I would just keep this and use it in a boutonniere. Look how pretty that petal is. Use it in a boutonniere, or I have like a small little mason jar and I keep that for later, because life is expensive and why would you throw away anything? Look, there's another one that has no flower head on top. Spray roses always have this. Anything spray pretty much is gonna have that. So mentor, Jill, Edmonton. But I also have learned a lot from YouTube and from watching like things like this. I also would make sure that going back to what I'm actually talking about here, I'd make sure that I cut these roses always, oh, get tangled here. Make sure that you cut them with your pruners, not your scissors. I did a demo earlier today, and I'm not going to do it again because I was doing it very dramatically and the flowers were like flying everywhere. But that scissors are not sharp enough to properly cut the ends of the flowers. And if I do it like this, they fly. So I just do it like on the ground so the stem doesn't fly. But you need to make sure that you're using the proper tools for the job. And so pruners, or secateurs they're also called, is what you would need to use. So now I've got my spray roses all processed up, and now they're ready to arrange with. So look at how much the leaves I have. Like I have tons of leaves. So this is a very like messy hobby to have. Okay, so then processing this is wax flower. So I don't process this particularly because all these leaves here, I might use, I mean, not these really little ones, but if I was putting this in water, you need to remove these because this is what makes your water nasty and gross. And if your water is nasty and gross, your flowers are drinking nasty, gross water and they will not last. So if this is going in a bucket of water, remove any of this stuff that is falling below the water line. All right, putting my baby's breath, this is, for people who just joined, this is baby's breath that I had cut out from last weekend. And this is from Sunday until now, and it's dried, and it looks like quite pretty dried. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I've been like hanging around it, and I was like, oh, I'll show people on my YouTube live what it looks like after I dried it. Because I have this in like giant piles and having to like turn it every couple days to make sure that it doesn't get all moldy. And I'm on Vancouver Island in Canada, and so it's really wet here, so I had to like bring it inside and put it in front of my fireplace. And my husband's like, why do we have a box of baby's breath like hanging in front of our fireplace? I'm like, so I can show my people on YouTube live. So there you go, kept it for you guys. Okay, now to what I actually wanted to show you. I'm going to clear my space. Here's my hydrangea that I dunked in water. So leave it like that for like overnight, and then it will perk itself up. Flower crown time. So this is paddle wire. I'm using 24 gauge, but it doesn't really matter what gauge. And I'm going to make a flower crown here live. So I'm gonna take it, fold it in half. I'm gonna make the kind that just goes like kind of this, and then you have like a ribbon to attach it around. So I'm just kind of demoing on my head here, and I'm gonna cut that, and then taking these ends and I'm going to twist them around like this. You could use a thicker gauge wire, but this is just what I found in my garage at the moment. I need to clean my garage too. When you have a baby that has to be attached to you at all times, it's hard to do things. So now I have this, and I'm just gonna check again to make sure I have it the right. What am I doing here? I'm accidentally undoing it. I'm just gonna check to make sure I have it the right. So I'm not wanting to go all the way around because I'm gonna use ribbon to tie it off. So, actually I'm gonna ask a question for folks who are here. Where are you from? So put a number 1 in the chat if you're from Canada, number 2 if you're from the US, or 3 if you're from anywhere else. So 1 is Canada, 2 is US, 3 is anywhere else. This is florist tape, and the cool thing about it is it's not sticky until you pull it. So see here, if you pull it, it stretches and it's like waxy. If you pull it hard, it breaks. So I'm going to, nobody's telling me where they're from. Number 1, if you're in Canada. 2, if you're in the US. Oh my gosh. That's not my Kleenex. I don't know where I put my Kleenex. 3, if you're from anywhere else. Okay, so I'm gonna take this here, and I'm gonna leave a spot, like a little loop like this, because that's where I'm gonna tie my ribbon in to attach it here. So I'm going to take my florist tape, and I'm just using this tape the whole way down to make this a more sturdy base for it. This takes a little bit of like hand finessing. It takes me always a sec to get started, and like I showed you 2 seconds ago, this florist tape is not sticky until you pull it, so you have to keep applying even pressure on it the whole way through, and it is a little bit of a finger workout. I'm just kind of going the whole way down, and if you don't keep pulling it in between, this will all fall off because this florist tape is not sticky until you pull it. And it has this wax on it that I can like feel on my fingers. This is a must-have tool for anybody who's arranging flowers. Like this is, I use it in boutonnieres for sure. Like I don't know how you would make a boutonniere really without it. And then you could actually use it to tie bouquets together, although rather than using this florist tape. For bouquets I like using zap straps. That's my preferred. They're also known as cable ties. And that's how I actually like to attach together my bouquets. But see, this is a little tricky. And I'm doing this because if I don't, I would have this, the wire would look like that, like it doesn't have a good structure. If you had a thicker wire, like a thicker gauge wire, you could do that instead. But this is all I had in my garage at the moment. I forgot to grab some stuff from my shop. So I'm just wrapping this floral tape around it right now to give it more structure to use it in my flower crown. And if you wanted to, you could make this one continuous piece that fit like more like a crown. But the reason I'm doing it like this and then using the ribbon at the back is so that way you can adjust the size of it, because I'm making this for somebody and I don't exactly know what size her head is. So by using the ribbon, she can adjust it and then decide if she wants it to go like higher on her head or lower on her head, versus if I like did this as one continuous round, then it would be the size that it was. So this gives you a little bit more flexibility to do. Not a single person told me where they're from. I wonder if it's a secret. Can you tell me where you're from? I'm so curious. Put a number 1 in the chat if you're from Canada, 2 in the chat if you're from the US, or 3 if you're from anywhere else. Oh, my baby's asleep now. This is like, doing a live is perfect because I'm like nap trapped, as they call it anyways. Sometimes I'll like just clean my windows or do something standing up. But this is great because now he's just attached to me and I can show you guys something. This does take a while. I know, sorry, it's a little bit boring. I'm just taking my wire and wrapping florist tape around it because I forgot to bring thicker gauge wire, but this will work great. This is a good like hand-eye coordination thing. I also wasn't paying attention and I put this part at the end, which is my twisty part. Oh well, that is fine. Okay, I'm gonna do this flower crown out of wax flower, baby's breath, and spray roses. And the reason I'm choosing these flowers is they last forever. Like this baby's breath, I'll show folks who are just joining. This box of baby's breath is from Sunday and it's been out of water since Sunday and it still looks amazing. So that's a perfect flower to use in these flower crowns because it will not wilt or go bad. And I would never use something really delicate and like flower seeking, like hydrangeas or anemones, because those will just wilt and they will definitely not last. But baby's breath is fantastic, and so is waxflower. Okay, I made it to the bottom. So now here's my loop and my loop. Now to end it off, I'm just gonna kind of go back up this way. Oh, smucked my baby in the head. Okay, just to make sure this end is nice and snug, and then pull it and it breaks it, and then now you got this little tail. So because it's waxy, if you just put your finger on it hard, the like heat from your finger makes the wax stick on it. So now I've got my flower crown, so go like this, and then I'm just going to attach ribbon at the back to bring it around. Okay, so the stuff that I'm going to use to make my flower crown is wax flower, and then baby's breath, and these spray roses. So to start off, to make it a little bit easier for myself, I'm going to cut the pieces smaller. So this is wax flower. So here's the side note. People are like, oh, how many flowers in a stem? So here's a stem and here's a stem. So they are different sizes, and also like, oh, it's one stem of flowers. That's not very much, but look at how many flowers are on this stem. So if I was using this in a bouquet, I would never like put this piece in the bouquet, because well, first of all, it's really long. So if you're like holding the bouquet, you can't even see my face. So I need obviously to chop it down, but also that is a really wax flower forward bouquet. So if you're using this in a bouquet, you're gonna only take parts of it. And so like this part here, I might cut this off and use this in my boutonniere. But I would only use a small portion of this to actually go in my bouquet or my centerpiece or whatever, because you don't want this much in a bouquet. Also, if I was putting this in a vase, you cannot have any greenery actually in the water, because that turns the water all gross and murky. So you need to make sure that you take any sort of stems off or any leaves off, because they cannot go in your water. So I'm gonna put this to the side. This is my like structure for my flower crown, and take my pruners, and I'm gonna cut these into smaller pieces. So I'm gonna hold it just so these don't fly off, and just cut some smaller pieces of wax flower off. Wax flower comes from California, but it also comes from Australia. So there's a couple different places that it's sourced from, and I use this all the time in my bouquets. So now I've kind of cut off the flowers, but this is also pretty, like this greenery. So I'm actually going to use that in my flower crown too. If I did not want that on my flower crown, I would still not throw it away, and I would use that this greenery in boutonnieres. It's like the perfect greenery for boutonnieres, or put it in a little mason jar, a little miniature jar, and then I have some decor for that. There's always a use for everything. Like there's no reason to throw things away. Okay, actually I'll do a demo here of using scissors. I'm gonna hold it this time so it doesn't fly. So here is scissors, and if I'm trying to cut this wax flower, I can't even cut this wax flower with scissors. Like it's a very, very woody stem. So you need, I'm gonna do it down a little bit. It's gonna fly. I'm gonna make it not fly. There we go. So it's even hard with pruners. But I just showed you guys that to show that you have to have pruners when you're doing this. So I've got a couple little pieces of wax flower cut. I needed another Kleenex, sorry. This is what happens when you have kids. They bring home all the illnesses in the world. Okay. Here's a bunch of baby's breath. So you can see how big a bunch is. It covers a huge amount of volume, and baby's breath super commonly has pieces that break off because it's so tangly, it like tangles in itself and it can break off. So that's just something you need to know about baby's breath. But again, I would never throw that away. It just happens that I'm making a flower crown, so this is actually perfect. I'm gonna cut these pieces down a little bit just so I don't have to deal with such a tall, rangy bunch. So I'm going to cut it down first, put these to the side, and then cut this into, see how it tangles? And that's how those break. So I'm going to cut these into a bit of smaller pieces to use. So you can make your flower crown out of anything, but I would not use delicate flowers like anemone, ranunculus, Icelandic poppies. Those are a very seasonal. Side note, Icelandic poppies are super seasonal, and they're almost here in Victoria on Vancouver Island in Canada, and I just get them usually from a local like farm stand, and I'm really excited for when those come out. I'll definitely do a live on Icelandic poppies once they're here. Okay, now I've got my spray rose. I'm going to cut them into pieces. This is also, I love spray rose because one stem gets you so many flowers. So this one here has 4 blooms on the one stem, but sometimes they have like 6. And so if you're making a boutonniere, then you can just use one of these guys for a boutonniere. And so one stem gets you 4 boutonnieres. So it's super cost effective. So I've got now some bundles of baby's breath, my spray roses, my wax flower, the flower part of it, and then this is the greenery part of the wax flower. Okay, let's start. So here's my structure of my crown. I'm gonna put like this and then use ribbon to hold it together. So I'm gonna start by making little bundles. So I get a couple pieces of wax flower. I didn't cut these small enough, so I'm just gonna cut as I go, but I just wanted to get them a little bit smaller so they're easier to work with. So there's a bundle there, and then let's add in a little bit of this greenery. Okay, there's a bundle. This is a pretty big bundle. I'm trying to think if I want it. So I'm gonna put this like the whole way around the crown. Oh, and a spray rose. So it'd be like that. I think that's too big. I don't want to run out of product, so I'm gonna take a piece of spray rose out. Okay, so I'm gonna attach this now, and I need to have less stems. I'm gonna cut it down here. Just cutting it down. Okay, there we go. If you're new here, you probably didn't know yet that I'm using florist tape, and it's not sticky until I pull it, and then it gets activated. Okay, so I'm gonna just take this little bundle that I made and just wrap florist tape around it. I have to keep pulling it as I go in order to make sure it's sticky. Oh, oops. And then it has a tail on it, and then to attach the tail, I just put my thumb on it, and now there you go. Actually, this is like a super cute boutonniere, so I can like pin that on myself. So if you want to DIY, boutonnieres are so easy. Like I made that in 2 minutes, and a florist would charge you like 20, 25, 30 bucks, and you can make it yourself for like $1. And then you can just go ahead and pin it on yourself. But this is the start of my flower crown, so I'm going to attach it to this here. So something that people can have a tendency to do is, especially if you're talking like I'm talking, you like start going along and these end up being different sizes and shapes. So I'm going to mitigate that by making a couple of these bundles to start, so that way I know So I got distracted. My dad was just emailing me. He's like, Sarah, do you want to do a project with me? You can do plant identification. in the Kootenays. And I was like, Dad, I don't even know how to do that. And he's like, you're a florist, you can learn it. Okay. That's the thing about my dad, he believes that I can do anything. And that's great. I mean, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. So maybe I should. Maybe I should go to the Kootenays and do some plant identification work, because I'm a florist and I could easily learn. Okay, I'm just gonna make sure that these are similar size. They're not. This wax flower one's too big. I'm gonna choose a smaller one here. And then we don't want these stems to be all different sizes and all jaggedy. You know what, I need a bucket because I'm gonna have a huge mess here. This is my snackle box. I just took off the containers. Has anybody gone into the snackle box trend? Does anybody even know what a snackle box is? It's just like a container that you put all your snacks in. Containers in containers is something that I love. Weird thing about me. Okay. So last one I pulled, I made this all jaggedy. So you can pull it. So here, I'll show now. So when you have it like this, it's not sticky. When you pull it, it becomes sticky. If you pull it, then it breaks. But when it breaks, it gets a bit of a jaggedy edge. And so I like starting out with a fresh cut edge. So I'm just gonna give it a cut there to get it fresh. And then I've got my little bundle here. And I'm just gonna wrap it, this tape around it a couple times, just so that way it's attached together. And so then when I'm making my flower crown, it's gonna look like this. Whoops. And then this bundle is gonna go below it, like so. But I wanna make sure that I have a consistent look. Like, so you can see already that the stem length is different on these. So I need to give this little guy a bit of a cut. But I wanna start with making a couple bundles just to like get kind of the vibe of it, to make sure that the size of them is all the same, because I don't want my flower crown to be like all big and full and then just kind of like peter out. I want it to look consistent. And so by making all these little bundles first, that's a way to kind of like keep yourself in check and make sure that they stay all the same size. And then I'm just kind of comparing like each one to each other. So I'm curious, again, why are folks on this live? Are you guys getting married and want to do some DIY flowers? If you are, put a number 1 in the chat. Or are you just love flowers and want to learn? Put a 2 in the chat. Okay, now I'm gonna, you know what, so I don't have to use the scissors to cut it every time. I'm just gonna use this and cut it, and then pull on this tape to activate it, and then just use your thumb and push hard. And then look, it could be a boutonniere. Okay, now I've got 3 little bundles going. I don't know how many I'm gonna need because I haven't made one of this particular type before. So I have tons of product though. So you'll see how it goes. I never throw away anything. So if I don't use these, I'll maybe make some little bouquets for my neighbors or something of that sort. There you go, another little bundle. This is quite quick going, like once you get the hang of it, and then if you're not distracted talking. And I'm not doing the tape the whole way through. All I'm trying to do is get these to like be structured. This wax flower right here from California, this bunch is huge. I'm not even gonna use like a fraction of it. But the great thing about wax flower is it lasts a super long time. Oh, I don't know if you guys noticed what I was doing. I kind of just did it automatically. So like a floret of the wax flower has like a higher stem and 2 lower ones. So I'm pulling the lower ones off and then lining them all up so they're all at the same height. Because I want my flower crown to look really structured. Like I don't want it to be all like floofy. So that's why I'm lining them all up. But if you wanted a floofy look, you don't have to line them up. But I'm trying to make my bundles like pretty compact for my flower crown, because I'm trying to keep like a pretty good like structure going on. I'm not using any greenery other than I'm using like these side shoots of the wax flower, but you totally could use any sort of greenery. The most popular ones I find are Italian ruscus or eucalyptus. Why did I not think of that name? Those are the ones that are the most common to use when you're making flower crowns. Just because they have a really, this one's kind of ugly. I said I don't throw anything away. I'm going to throw that one away. Just because they have a lot of really great movement to them. So those are the greeneries that are the most used sort of in these flower crowns, but I'm not using any greenery at all. And so that's also totally an option. This wax flower smells so beautiful. Okay, I swear this gets faster once you're used to it, or once you get like the rhythm of it. It's also faster. I'm so distracted like talking during it. I just normally turn on like a podcast and get into my zone. But okay, how many do I have now? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna try and get up to about 10 before I start attaching them. Okay, I need more baby's breath. This is my big bundle of baby's breath, and to make it a little bit easier, my kind of first thing I do is take like a couple of these stems and I just cut them at like this height, just so I'm not dealing with like all these tangly stems, because baby's breath tangles really, really badly. And then I just kind of piece off the pieces I'm gonna use. And like I said, like a piece like this is all these different heights. So if I put this in a flower crown, it'd be like this. Maybe you like that, but I don't want that for today. So I'm gonna pull off the side shoots here and then line them all up so all the like flowers are at the same height. And then I'll chop off this bottom piece here and then add in my wax flower. So this one has the same kind of thing where there's like too many flowers for my liking. So I pulled off some side ones and then put it here, pull apart this wax flower greenery because it's again too much, and put them on either side. Oh, I'm out of spray rose. So this spray rose here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 petals, and this is, I missed this during processing. So spray roses, oh hi baby, you woke up. Spray roses have usually like a stem in the middle. Oh, you're okay, baby. A stem in the middle that has no bloom on it, and that is just always what spray roses have. And so I'm just gonna cut that off because I don't want that in my arrangement. Let's go get this baby sorted. He's like so peacefully asleep and woke up. So also spray roses have these little buds on them that will never open, but I love that. That is just part of the uniqueness of a spray rose. So for my flower crown, I'm just gonna cut all these side ones off. And if I was making a boutonniere, this is why I love spray roses, is one stem can make like 5 or 4 or 6 boutonnieres. So it's a really cost-effective way to keep your costs under control for your wedding is spray roses, versus if you're doing something like a standard rose, it's 1 flower per stem, and so you need like 6 stems to do 6 boutonnieres, versus this way you can get away with like 1 stem for 6 boutonnieres. Gotta blow my nose. Okay, now let's attach this florist tape. Gotta keep pulling it every time to make sure that it stays sticky, and then use your thumb to hold it in place. Okay, I think I I have enough to get started attaching it, and also this baby is like awake and fussy, so let's get to it. So I've made this, which is my structure, my flower crown. It doesn't go the whole way around because I'm using ribbon to attach it. And then I have made, let's clear my space first. I've made all these little bundles of flowers that I'm now going to attach to here using my florist tape. So here's my tape. And so the first, I want to make sure that I'm like leaving this loop. Sorry, I have to bounce, so this baby's gonna cry. I have to leave this loop visible because that's where I'm gonna put my ribbon in to attach it. So I don't want to put this too high up to hide the loop. So I'm just gonna bring it down a little bit. These are already attached with the tape, so it makes it a little bit easier to work with. And then I'm gonna take this and wrap it around. And you have to pull every time to have tension on the tape, or else it doesn't stay sticky. And then I want to go past the end of the stem just to make sure that it's fully attached onto my structure. So this one, I left the stem a little bit long. So my other ones, oh, this one's a good length, but this one's too long. So I'm just gonna cut this one down a little bit. Okay, so then next I take my second one and I'm gonna stagger it. Okay, see that? And I'm paying attention to like this spray rose is facing this way, so I want this spray rose to face this way. So I'm gonna stagger it like that, take my florist tape, and then do this and show you guys at the same time. And then wrap it around. And I'm making sure I'm going like right tight up to the rose so it has support and isn't floppy. And so it's a bit chunky here, like really thick. That's because I left that first one too long, whoops. And then I'm going to go down a little bit onto the structure just to make sure it stays on and up a little bit, and then pull it. And I've got 2 on here. So then let's take our third one, line it up, thinking where I want it to go. So when I line it up here, you can see there's a little bit of a space right here without flowers. So I think I'm gonna add a little bit more wax flower, or I could just try a different bundle to see if that one works better. See, that one works better, but then I have like 2 roses in a line, so I think I'm just gonna use this one. And what am I doing? I'm like distracted. I can hear my husband crashing around. Okay, that's a better one. But this stem is way too long, so I'm gonna cut that down. Line it up like so, overlapping. So let's take this tape and I'm going all the way around. So we have to make sure it's high enough up on the rose so it has support. And then going down, 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 attaching this to our structure. There you go. So it's starting to begin to have a little bit of shape. They're so pretty with the wax flower spray roses. Oh, look, your baby's smiling. Oh, can you smile for the camera? Okay, another one. Too long, better sized. Give her a chop. Oh. Come on, baby. This is the life of being a florist and a mom. Okay, line it up. This is gonna be so gorgeous. Just like so. I need to really make sure that when I'm putting this tape, I'm like sucking it all the way up, because I don't want any unsupported spray roses because they are heavy. This whole thing is heavy, and if it doesn't have support, it's going to like flop all over the place and it won't look like a crown. You can see the back of it. You can see kind of my structure here. And I have to keep pulling it every time, or else the tape doesn't stay sticky. There we go. And then when I'm done, I just pull the end. And because this is wire, it can be like moved a bit. There we go. It's starting to come along. Big sigh. All right. Oh, I forgot to put a spray rose in this one. Oops. Okay, here's a spray rose. Line it up. I think actually I'm afraid this is going to be floppy, so I'm going to wire this, or not wire, sorry, tape in this spray rose. Just a couple loops around to make sure it stays. Staggering it. Hello to all the people who just joined. Just saw a huge flush of people. I'm making a flower crown. Florist tape. Wrapping it around this bundle. And I have to keep pulling it every time. Oh. It's getting a little bit tricky to work with here because it's getting kind of heavy. Come on, baby. You're okay. You're okay, baby. Either. Okay. Oh gosh, I'm making this look so awkward. I'm like trying to jiggle the baby at the same time. Okay. There we go. Oh, I did that terribly. I need to pay more attention. So this one is like gonna flop off because I did, ah, shoot, that is terrible. Okay. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. We can do this. So sometimes if you pull the floral tape, it gets like all jaggedy like this. So that's why it does work to rip it. But then you get a jagged edge versus if you just use the scissors, it's much easier. Okay, so because I didn't stagger this enough, I've got this one like totally flopsing down. So I'm just going to give it another wrap because otherwise it's not going to stay on this crown. Okay. There we go. Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish this live because this baby is fussing up a storm. Okay, there's another bundle. Just gonna stagger it there. Take my floral tape and go around and around and around. I mean, you probably get the gist of it by now. It's not that complicated. It just is time consuming, right? Like, and takes a bit of a finesse to kind of get used to like having the awkwardness of this. Like, this is super awkward to do. It's coming along. Doo-doo-doo. Hello, Michelle Rodriguez. Where are you joining us from? I'm so curious where people are from. If you're from Canada, put a number 1. in the chat if you're from the US. Number 2. Murray, stop barking. US, put a number 2 in the chat. And anywhere else, put a number 3. I'm just making a flower crown here. This is for us. What did I just say? Us. Murray, stop barking. This is for a bachelorette party. You know what? This baby's getting really fussy. Actually, I should show you guys this. I love you. There you go. Okay, so once I finish this flower crown, which maybe I'll be able to finish, but it's like already starting to look like a flower crown. How I'm going to store it is, this is a snackle box, if anybody knows what a snackle box is, but really any Tupperware box. I'm going to make what's called a hydration chamber. So I have a paper towel here that I just dampened. Shh. I think I'm going to finish this offline because this baby needs to be fed. But I'm going to show you guys how to do this hydration chamber. So I take this paper towel, which I dampened, and fold it, and I put it in the bottom of a Tupperware container. And you don't want this soaking wet, just damp. And then I'm going to put my flower crown in it. And then I take my lid and I seal it all shut. And then I put this in the fridge. And so the dampness of the paper towel and the suction part of the Tupperware like really locks in the moisture and keeps it like in a kind of moist, even though it's a terrible word, like a moist state in the fridge. And so that way your flower crown or your boutonniere or your corsage will stay lasting a long time because it obviously doesn't have a hydration source because we can't stick these stems in water. So this is a hydration chamber, fancy name for just a Tupperware container with a damp paper towel in the bottom that we just seal up and put in the fridge. And I would use this hydration chamber for boutonnieres, for corsages, for anything that I don't have a water source for. But you also need to make these as close as you can to the event. So if I was doing this for a wedding on a Saturday, I would do this flower crown like on a Friday, or a Thursday would be like the earliest that I would go to doing it. The hydration chamber works great, but it's not going to keep this lasting for like months and months. The other thing is if you made it, say, just of baby's breath, this here is baby's breath that's like 5 days old. This isn't a very good, here I'll show again. So this is my fresh hydrated baby's breath, and this is my dried out baby's breath. So I'll show kind of like that. So baby's breath dries super well. So it's hard to work with this now that it's dried, especially since I cut it up and it's all tangled. But if you made the baby's breath crown fresh, it will dry and look super beautiful. So baby's breath is great to use in a dried crown, still looks really pretty. So this is how far I got live. I need to go feed this baby. But there you go. Can you imagine if it just continued the whole way around? And that would be your flower crown. So I'm gonna sign off here. If you're let me know what else you would like to learn live, and I will do more lives another time. Thanks everybody for watching.